Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dr. Gaynor Speaks. My name is Dr. Brianna Gaynor. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and a transformational speaker. And today, my topic is You've Got This. What I've noticed in my personal life, and with everything going on around us, is that a lot of us are going through really tough times. Whether you are struggling with a relationship, whether you are going through a divorce, whether you're going through grief and loss, whether you're just going through a transition in life, we are all going through something that is challenging and difficult. And when we go through things that are challenging and difficult, it can be really hard to keep the faith, to keep going, to have the motivation to not want to give up. I talk to a lot of people all the time, and it's a real struggle when you are consistently having the same difficulties and you're not seeing any traction, or maybe you're just not seeing the results that you want. And so I wanted to come on and give you some inspiration for you and for me, to be honest. And so you were built for this. And what that means is that for whatever you're going through, we are much better equipped than we think. How do I know that? Because a lot of times, if you look back at your life and all the things that have happened, you will consistently see the hard things you've been able to get through that maybe you didn't think that you would. So first, before we talk about that, let's talk about what our goal is. Who do you want to be seen as? Who is the person you want people to say you are at the end of your life? What is the impact you want to leave on people? What mark do you want to leave in this world, in your relationships, in your family, at your job, in your community? Sometimes maybe we don't think about legacy enough, but we are all working towards something. Obviously, people want to make money, people want to be successful, but what is the overall goal? Because the truth is, when those things fade, what's left? And so when I think about legacy, I think about my mother. I think about the fact that she was a nurse and she helped to take care of people. And she was someone who people would consistently say, even 10 years after her death, that she cared. And she was someone who was always going to be there. And she was someone who was going to make you laugh. And she was a person that you can rely on. She was a person who brought people together. That's her legacy. Those are the things that we're continuing to say about her. So what are 3 things you want to leave in this world? What are 3 things you want people to think of you and remember about you and consider when your name is said? For me, it would be kindness. It would be support. And it would be fairness. I want the people who work for me to know that I was fair and I was kind. And I want the people who come to me for help to also feel that sense of compassion and kindness. I want to be someone who's a light, who helps people feel encouraged when they're going through difficult times. So my question is, what is that you want? What is that legacy? And I'm going to go even a step further. There's a question that was asked recently, and it was, what are 3 words you would use to describe the person next to you? I would ask you to ask the most important people in your life that question. How are people seeing you? How are you showing up? Because the truth is, you are likely starting to leave that legacy without even paying attention. The little things that we do, the ways that we take care of people, the ways that we show up, the ways that we engage are making such a big difference. And sometimes we need to be made aware of that, and we need to remember that it is mattering. Even when we're going through hard times, a lot of times we're focusing so much on our inner world that we're not paying attention to what's going on outside. And unfortunately, because we're all going through things, we don't always take the time to appreciate people or let them know the impact they're making. So I want to encourage you today to not only ask so you know what impact you're making, but also take some time to let someone else know. We're all making marks in life. So what is the impact that you are, and make sure you're letting someone else know that. That could be the little inspiration or motivation that someone needs to keep going because they know that it matters. A lot of times we feel like things don't matter. What's the point? There is a point. There's always someone who is receiving something from you, whether good or bad. So make sure that it's in line with what you desire. And when it's not, say so. No one is perfect. But I bet that if you inquire today, you'll find out that you're making a much bigger impact than you even realize. And so after legacy, the next L is lessons. What are the lessons you've learned through life? Oftentimes, the most difficult things that we go through are the things that we need to help us grow. We often tend to grow in challenging times versus times when things are good and great. It would be wonderful if we didn't have to go through those challenges and through the processes of life, but that's just the reality of it. So, what are the lessons that you've had to learn? What are the ways you've had to learn to step up, to grow? Have you had a challenging class maybe when you were in college and it helped you to figure out how to study better? It helped you to push through. It helped you to figure out whether or not this was the path that you wanted to take. Or maybe you got your first job and you were super excited about it and then it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, but it taught you about ways to deal in a difficult work environment, or how to hone your skills, how to seek support, how to be support to someone else, what to look for in your next position. Or you had your first heartbreak, and that's difficult. But it really taught you more about yourself than you would have ever learned if you hadn't had that experience. What are the lessons that you've learned, the things that you've been through, the things that have guided you, that have been challenging, and how have they helped you to grow? What have they taught you? I want to encourage you to start to write those things down, because those are the fabrics of the things that start to help you grow and build your legacy. The lessons are challenging you, but they're helping you to be a better version of yourself. And with those challenges comes the perseverance to get through whatever is coming next. So, knowing that you were built for this is knowing that you can see those lessons. And so for me, I think one of the biggest lessons has been the grief journey. I guess I'd go back to that. Losing my mother was very challenging for me. It was something that I probably knew was happening, but I wasn't ready for. And it's interesting to me because after she passed, there were so many people who came into my life who were able to help me. I don't know if it feels like more people were having the same loss at the same time, but maybe my eyes were just more open to it. And I remember being so grateful that people understood how I felt. And now at this point in life, I'm noticing that coming back. I'm noticing that I'm meeting people who I'm further along in the process. And I can't help but feel like the challenges I went through are to be a blessing to other people, to help them to come in this space and let them know that they're not alone. And I think it's the same thing with business. Having been in business now for 11 years, understanding the challenges, understanding the things that are still hard, I find myself talking to other people who own businesses who are also looking for hope that this is going to get easier. And is this normal? Is this not normal? And being able to have those conversations and recognize that there have been some things that I've been through that really helps me to be able to support people and give them a different vantage point is honestly a blessing. We're so inundated in our lives that we don't think about all the things we've been able to go through and the fact that it can help someone. So the fact that when I have these conversations, I have advice to give and I can relate is awesome, because we all want to feel like we're not alone, that someone else understands, someone else connects with us, and that we have someone else that we can talk through things with. That was the biggest thing for me in being in business, is having a group of people who understand, who can walk with me through it. We all need that support. So, what are the lessons that you've learned that can help you do that same thing? And then The last thing is let go. What are the things that you're holding on to that are making it challenging for you to get through a season? Sometimes there are relationships that we need to take a step back from. Sometimes there are unhealthy habits that we have. Um, Sometimes it's our own negative narrative in our head. One of the things I've committed to this year is I am going to take care of my body because it's the only one I have. And that's not just about exercise and eating right. It's about making sure that I'm taking the right supplements. It's about doing the extra things like massages, chiropractic care. What are the things I need to do to be in the best state for myself? What are the habits that aren't as healthy? How do I feed myself well so that my body feels good? What are the things that make me feel good? Being outside. So, how do I incorporate those things? And what are the things I need to let go of that are no longer serving me? One of the things is I don't need to let stress impact my choices or decisions. I'm going to take a step back and breathe. Another thing is when I'm overwhelmed, I am going to take time for myself and not feel the need to talk about it or to continue to be a support or a source of support for people when I don't have the capacity to do it. When I feel like my capacity is shot for that day, it's shot for that day, and I'm going to work accordingly, meaning I'm going to take a break. I'm probably not going to answer the phone. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be the support for the people around me, but it means I need to take a break. So, what are the things that you need to let go of? What are maybe the negative people or the negative influences in your life? And sometimes the truth is we need to put up boundaries. And sometimes the truth is part of those boundaries also need to be with ourselves. So, do we need to seek out therapy or counseling to work through the things that are holding us back? I was talking to someone the other day and she was talking about how some of the things in her childhood have impacted her relationships and how she understands how that came up because she struggled in her last relationship. And we talked about the potential for her going to therapy and just the insight that she had into the things that impact her and how that shows up was astounding. A lot of times we don't take the time to really look at ourselves. And so paying attention to that and saying, you know what, this could be something I can need help on. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. So where do you need to ask for help? And where do you need to stop helping? Sometimes we try to take on everyone else's issues and it's too much. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your loved ones is to allow them the space to do what they need to do for themselves, to be there to support and not to try to take over or do it for them, but to walk aside them through the process. And one of the hardest things to do is to see someone you love hurting and you can't fix it. But maybe it's not about fixing it. It's not about fixing it. It's about being able to walk beside you and let you know that I'm here no matter what, that I love you, that I'm praying for you, and that we're going to let go of the things that no longer serve us. And so we could get to what we need to do, what we're here to do, because you were built for this. And so hopefully today this brought some inspiration for the things that are hard, remembering the importance of considering the legacy you want to leave and asking the people around you what they're experiencing and also letting them know the legacy that they're already leaving. Considering the lessons you've learned and how those things help you grow to continue to bring them into this next season of life, and letting go of the things, the people, the relationships, the inner struggles that no longer serve you, and if necessary, getting the help that you need. This has been Dr. Gaynor Speaks, and I hope that this has spoken to you. If there's someone who you know who this will be helpful for, please feel free to pass this along. I have also written my first book called Nina's Smile, and it is a book about resilience, how we get through difficult times. And there is also a workbook in the back that is not just for children, but also for families to talk about how we deal with tough stuff. Don't forget, you got this. Until next time, have a great day.